Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. We're glad you could join us for our first HTC Communications Lunch and Learn, Canva for Churches. If we haven't had the chance to meet yet, my name's Trey West. I'm a part of the communications team here for the conference. And before we jump into everything, I just want to introduce you to a couple others. Um, we've got Pam Hughes on the call. She's our Director of Communications. You may be able to see her on the top bar up there, but we'll hear a little bit more from Pam later. And behind the scenes, you won't see him, which is his favorite place to be, is Dustin Capps, another member of our team, our media production specialist. He's running a lot of the back end. And so we're all three of us are very excited to share this time with you. All across, thank you to those who filled out the survey. It gave us a lot of good information to prepare for this. We've got a wide range of people here, pastors, communications staff, administrative assistants, some graphic designers. I know everyone has different levels of understanding of Canva and different levels of design experience. I just want to make sure you know our goal today is to give you practical tools to make you feel a little bit more confident on how to use Canva within the context of your ministry. So whether this is brand new to you or you've been using Canva for years, our hope is that you'll walk away with something you can put to work right away, maybe even today. I want to give a real quick agenda overview. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen here so that y'all can see a little bit of what we'll be getting into. Here we go. So you'll be seeing my Canva, my Canva account open right now. So this is where I start. This is the home screen. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but it's a 2-slide presentation, real quick, just because most of the time we're going to spend actually in the nitty-gritty of Canva itself. But just a real quick overview of the agenda. There's items that I'm going to be moving through pretty quickly within this agenda. So I just want to make sure you know this is being recorded. We'll make that available to you as a resource after we've had an opportunity to edit it. And if Dustin or Pam, if one of y'all in the chat can go ahead and type the resource list, we have a Canva resource list as well that comes out of this, and we'll give you some resources, follow up on some of the things we'll be touching on today. And that's htcumc.org/Canva-resources. But we'll get that URL in the chat so you can make sure to have that as you walk away as well. There's also going to be a Q&A session at the very end. So if there's any specifics that I didn't touch on that you want to make sure you leave today with that information, or there's something I did touch on and you just want a quick follow-up, there will be that Q&A session at the very end so we can make sure you're leaving with the information that you need most. But yeah, real quick, our agenda, why Canva matters. We'll just talk very briefly about why you should be using Canva, why it should be an important part of your ministry. We'll touch on the basics of Canva. We'll get into some design tips that are not necessarily specific to Canva, but would be valuable for you to use in Canva and out of Canva. We'll go to beyond the basics, a couple features we want to make sure you know about if you aren't already aware that are in Canva, important things for you to know. Then we'll touch on those resources real quick, make sure that you have access to all of those. Follow up with a Q&A, and then we'll wrap up our time together. Great, so let's jump in. Why Canva matters, or why it should matter. Start with the big picture. Why should churches even care about Canva? First of all, it's cloud-based, which means collaboration is easy. Everything lives on Canva within the web browser. So it's really easy for multiple people on your team to create, edit, and share designs without juggling email attachments. Cloud-based collaboration is better than it's ever been before, and that's a big part of Canva that's important. Second, it's user-friendly. Tools like Photoshop and or Illustrator, with your Adobe Creative Cloud applications, can feel really intimidating. There's a pretty high level of competency that both of those applications require. And Canva just lowers that bar. It makes it a lot easier for you and everyone in your team to create. My wife is a 6th grade teacher, and she uses Canva on a daily basis for her classroom, and she would never want to touch Photoshop. So it's very, very user-friendly. Part of that is Canva has templated and customized designs. This allows non-designers as well as seasoned professional graphic designers to create beautiful and professional assets. Not only can you create them, but you can create them quicker than ever before. It's very, very easy to use and very, very intuitive. Fourth, Canva has a massive built-in library of fonts, graphics, photos, and videos. This is my favorite part. As a designer, one of the most tedious things is going and finding the elements, taking them into a file folder, and then linking them in Photoshop. Canva eliminates all of that. Everything lives within the Canva library, and they really do have a lot of elements. We'll look at a little bit later that make it easy for you to create those graphics. Lastly, and most importantly, and this was one of the survey questions, churches and nonprofits can get full access to Canva Pro and Canva Teams completely for free. That's something we'll talk a little bit later about, but I do want to make sure you know all of these other tools, Photoshop, Illustrator, they are expensive. Canva Pro unlocks all of the features within Canva, and they do it all for free for nonprofits. It's been my biggest soapbox for the last couple of years. I'm really grateful that churches are discovering this feature. But we want to make sure you know how to use it well once you have access. So now let's spend some time getting to know the features and how-tos of Canva. So I'm going to go back to the home screen. Anytime you log into Canva, the first thing you're going to see is this home screen. This is our dashboard. This is our ground zero. This is our foundation. When you log in, this is your home screen. On the left, right over here, you're going to see a toolbar. That toolbar is your basic foundation. Just below that, you've got your projects widget. This is where your saved designs are going to live. It comes in real handy when you're working with multiple people and ministries that are all on one team. As you can see, you can create these folders. It has a recent design tab. You can create these folders. You'll see on the conference level, we've got a folder specifically for Annual Conference 25. We've got one for when we were building out our newsletter on the horizon, our social media prayers, which we push out each week. All of those can live there so that anyone on our team can access it. Within the context of your ministries, you could create a youth folder, a children's ministry folder, adult discipleship, and give those various ministry people access to just those folders even. So it's just a nice, neat, easy way to organize your projects there within it. And then, of course, below that, all of the designs you've ever created live there as well. Just below the projects folder is another important widget. It's our templates folder. Endless starting points for just about anything. You can go here, you can search graphic. This is where a lot of those templates live right there. The one under that, Brand Hub. This is an important one we'll spend some more time on later. But the Brand Hub is where your branded kits and your branded templates can live. We'll come back to that. I promise. We'll spend a decent amount of time there, but that's where all of those sorts of things live. Just below that is a more recently added widget. It's Canva AI, and we all live in the AI age, and it's exactly what it sounds like it would be. This is where you can go and you can type various things that you're trying to create, and Canva AI will generate some of those images and designs for you. And just below that is apps. So this is a library of applications and integrations that are designed to work within Canva. This is where you'll see things like you can connect your Google Drive, Google Photos if you use those. There's a MailChimp app. There's a Constant Contact app. Those are ways you can integrate Constant Contact into your church newsletters, into your various applications that exist outside of Canva. So all of those applications live here. If you have an iPhone or you have a smartphone, a Samsung, think of the Google Store or the Apple Store. All of those applications live within that. Same thing. Canva is the platform, and all of the applications you want to connect to Canva live there. But we're going to go back up here to the top. These three little lines right here, it's the menu that applies to all of these widgets. So you see right now I have it closed. When I open it, it brings up a variety of different options for each of these widgets. So if I go back to home, the menu stays open. It's going to show me some recent designs. If I open projects, recent designs, and then it'll right here at the top, if I have any designs that are available offline, I can click that. Templates shows me a variety of the elements and stuff that I can search within Canva's library, all in this menu. And this, coming back to the brand hub, That's what's going to allow you to switch between the brand kits and the brand templates. As you can see here on brand kits, there's the old NTC North Texas brand kit. Here's one from a previous Lenten series. Our Horizon Texas Conference brand kit. We have one specific to Bishop Signs, and we created one specifically for annual conference. But all of that lives here in this little menu as well. And then right over here is probably the second most important after home, which is going to get you there. It's the create button. So when we click the create button, this is where you go to start from scratch. You can search templates in there as well, but we'll talk a little bit later about the search bar over here and why that's more important for that. But if you want to just start something from scratch, you would just click the create button. You can create a variety of presentations, graphics, documents, all with predetermined aspect ratios and sizes. If we click it, you'll see you can click sheets, that's Excel documents, so on and so on. Presentations, 16:9. These are just it's a nice feature of Canva. If you want to make an Instagram story, you want to make a Facebook story, you want to make a TikTok, they have those predetermined to what Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook want. So if I want to make a Facebook cover photo, I can go here. They already have the pixels that I need. All I have to do is click it. It gives me the Canvas artboard to begin creating what I want to create right there. All I do at that point is start implementing the elements. So let's go back to the home page. Now that we've seen all of these widgets on the side, let's talk about the main portion of the dashboard here in the center. This is our dashboard, like we started from the beginning. When we log in, this is the first thing we'll see. We've got all the widgets over here. Right here is just a listing of our recent designs. Up here are some of those same things we were talking about, just templated blank canvases. But up here at the top is a toolbar, and you'll see three options connected to that toolbar. The first one is Your Designs. If I click that and go to the search bar, anything I've ever created or that has been created within our team I can search that there. So let's say last year we did a game day parking. That football's at the top of my mind. So you'll see immediately takes me to something that I haven't touched in over a year, brings it right to the forefront, easy access right there. So that's where you're going to search anything you've already designed. And that's good for whenever you're trying to find things, especially if you're creating, like we are on the conference level, just hundreds and hundreds of designs within Canva. That's the easiest way to get access to any of those points. This other option right here next to Your Designs is templates. This is what I use when I'm trying to find something quick that I haven't created. If there's a template that I want to start, I have an idea of a design I want to make. I guess it's suggesting all these game day options because I just searched that. But anything you search, let's just search game day. And it's going to bring up anything that someone else has created on Canva as a template that they want publicly accessible. So you can see a variety of options. Game day is, you want to be a little bit more specific than that if you can, but it's a variety of aspects. It's a variety of designs, all sorts of things that might be applicable to what I am talking about. So all of that lives under the templated toolbar. Right over here is Canva AI. It's the same thing as the widget. It just exists here at the top. So let's delete game day so it doesn't start trying to create things. But exactly the widget and this right here and the toolbar at the top both take you to this Canva AI opportunity where you can use artificial intelligence through Canva to create a design, create an image, draft a document for you, all sorts of options that exist right there. So on that note, let's open up a graphic and let's talk about making some good design decisions. Now that we've gotten a little bit of basic orientation as to what we're doing and where we're doing it within Canva. Some design tips. In creating designs, you'll want to follow a few key topics. First and most importantly is brand consistency. We talk a lot about brand identity. In fact, we were just having a conversation this morning about it. Brand identity, brand consistency. When we use our logos, when we use similar fonts, when we use the same colors across a variety of platforms, it creates brand identity, which makes you and your church, your ministry significantly more recognizable. It's when you see, we've had our icon now, our Horizon Texas logo icon for just under a year now. but we put it on everything. We make sure it's attached to everything, and that's going to create identity to where when people see that, they know it's Horizon Texas Conference. And the more we do that, the more consistently we use it, the better it's going to be. We'll cycle back to brand kits here in a second and how that's a really powerful tool that'll help you achieve that brand consistency. But you're going to want to make sure you follow brand consistency in all of your designs. You're going to make sure to have some typography basics. Try to stick to one or two fonts. Use size and weight for hierarchy, a title, a subtitle, a body. Let's pull up this graphic real quick. This weekend, actually, the conference is hosting an immigration advocacy symposium at Grace Avenue United Methodist. And this is a graphic that we created within Canva. On the typography basic, you can see we've decided to keep it one font across. This is just the title graphic, but one font across. There's no need to add anything else. We've got our brand consistency here in the bottom, making sure that our logo is prominently a part of the graphic without being the central focus of the graphic. But we stuck to one font. We've made it a large size. We've given it an all caps look. You can see the little, hopefully you can see a little bit of the shading, the shadowing, the drop shadow behind it to make the font a little bit more prominent. I'll bring up another one real quick to show you. So this is one font because there's only one bit of information, just the title. But we've got another workshop coming up soon called Embodied Leadership, and I think I can find that pretty quickly. And if it's not at the top, that's fine because I can just go here, make sure I click your designs, and search Embodied. And that will pull up our Embodied Leadership graphic. So you can see here talking about the different hierarchies of fonts. We've got the one font within the title graphic that shows Embodied Leadership for a Healing Church. It's a serif font that's in all caps, but we did have a tagline, so we went with a simplified font, made it a little bit smaller. It's something we want to be prominent. It's something we want people to see, but it's also weighted slightly smaller than the rest of the graphic so that people know this is the title. This is what we want you to focus on, but also make sure you know that this is about trauma-informed tools for leading with compassion and courage. So in those typography basics, just keep in mind the different weights, the different sizes, the placement itself. So brand consistency, typography, but also color choices. Use your church's color palette. Most of your churches probably have a logo or some type of color scheme. If you don't, I encourage you to do that, to get into that. And if you just choose not to, use seasonal liturgical colors. We don't have to decide those. If it's an Advent graphic, you can use red and green, or you can use purple because most of your sanctuaries are probably using purple paraments. Maybe use blue paraments, something along those lines. But some sort of color choice that ties the graphic to the purpose. Canva even has a color wheel as you choose things. It has a great color wheel right over here that lives within the text color, and the sky's the limit. Any sort of color combination you want. So you can get really specific, even in using, as you saw, the hex code right here. And that's something that's maybe a little more advanced. We can talk more about hex codes another time, but basically you have all sorts of options to make sure that the color scheme matches the intent of the graphic. Image use. So we always encourage you to upload your own photos for authenticity. It's a good idea if you have a church event that you're wanting to advertise, use pictures from last year's event. Anytime you can use something that is your own media, it just creates a greater level of authenticity for the receiver. If absolutely necessary, Canva does offer free stock photos as a part of their pro package. You can use those, but it's always best to use your own media, or at very least media that's related to the event itself. I'll show you. I actually use stock image in our Canva for Churches main title slide, but I'll show you why I use stock image in this slide right here, and you'll see it on the resource list as well. These are stock images, but they're stock images from Canva. So even though I didn't use the media myself, I went to Canva's website. I found stuff that they were using to advertise their own stuff. So even though it's stock, it's not just super generic, someone sitting at a blank laptop screen that's not even turned on. I still tried to make it at least somewhat personalized, even when it's not our own actual conference media. If you're going to use media that isn't your own and is not within Canva, like images from AP or Getty, just make sure you have the right licenses, the rights to use those. That'll help you avoid copyright issues. That's becoming more and more of a thing, especially in this digital age. You'll want to make sure that before you use, I mean, a lot of people like to go to Google Images and just search what they're looking for, take it and use it. That is violates copyright law in some instances. So I would just suggest right over here on elements, you can search anything. You'll see they'll have shapes, graphics. Um, let's search Back to the Future because it was the last thing. Lots and lots of photos, opportunities for use that. Anything within Canva is royalty free. You have the right to use it. So if you don't have a license to use something from AP or Getty, or Envato or Igniter Media, any of those, just go ahead and stick with what Canva offers in their library. That'll
Hey
help you
Trey,
avoid.
we've got a similar question in the chat from Brian Hardesty Crouch.
Okay.
With churches' own photos that they're uploading, um, what considerations are there around photos with children in them? When do folks need permissions? How are churches going about getting those permissions? That sort of question.
Yeah, especially with anything you're going to post on social media, you're going to always want to have a photo release. Pam, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we have resources like that available that are templated that you could use. But either way, you're going to want to make sure you have a photo release for any, especially children or youth within your own church. We are in an age now where there's not just an understood allowance. You should definitely be getting photo releases for children and youth, even within the context of your own congregations.
That's right. And I know a lot of churches, I can source who's doing this well, but I know a lot of our churches are including it as part of the registration. Um, you can decide what makes sense for your ministry, if it's an opt-in or opt-out. Um, oh goodness, am I frozen or y'all? But a lot of them are doing it with the registration for that event or with registration for, I just did one for confirmation for my seventh grader. So when we registered him for confirmation for the year, we also checked a little box that said he's okay to be photographed. But really good question, Brian.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of churches doing that for their VBS registration as well. It's easy to attach that. It doesn't have to be an incredibly tedious separate process. But however you are choosing to do it, you're definitely going to want to do it. I recommend even for adults, especially in this day and age of social media, photo releases are always best to use. Good. Great question. Good. So yeah, use your own images as much as you can, but Canva does have a library of stock photos and images and graphics as well that are always available to use with your pro account. Good. Let's jump down a little bit and let's actually work into making a graphic. So we have all of these templates that Canva offers. You can use these templates when applicable, so you don't have to start from scratch. The one thing that's important is you're always going to want to make changes. If you just search for a template, you click the first one, plug in your information. Imagine there's 58 people in this call. Imagine that 30 churches all have a VBS. They all do the same carnival theme. They go to Canva, they search carnival, they pick the first template, they put their church logo and their church name on it, and suddenly we've got 30 churches using the exact same graphic with just a couple minimal changes. That's the sort of thing you're going to want to avoid. So use the templates, use that tool, but make sure you do changes. I'll say this to create this, even just this little 2-slide presentation right here, just to show you the agenda, I did the exact same thing. I went to templates. I searched through some slideshows. I found one that I liked. This is what I started with yesterday. It's templated. It is not any sort of actual information. It's this 11-page presentation that has no actual information, but I just liked the actual design choices around it, the flow of it. But I didn't want to just input, Canva for churches, and go from there. So I played with it. It didn't take me long at all. And I took this thing that started as design strategy prepared by Michael Taylor. All I did was plug in my information, change some of the coloration, add these other pictures over here. But you can see how I got from this to this while also making it personalized. I don't think anyone would be able to look at this and say, oh, he definitely created this from that. You can see the similarities, but you can also see how I personalized it. And that's the sort of important thing you're going to want to do. Use the templates, but don't just plug and play the templates, I guess is the best way of saying that. So I want to do a demonstration real quick. Feel free, jump in the chat or unmute yourself and let me know. I want to create a graphic. We're going to create a graphic for an upcoming sermon series. So just first one, any idea of a sermon series? Just throw out some sort of idea. What's a sermon series that you either have upcoming or you've done recently? And give me a topic, basically. Lost art of listening. Thank you, Kristen. Lost art of listening. All right, lost art of listening. So I'm going to go to templates. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a sermon series title graphic. So this is not necessarily super important, but most of you probably, if you have screens in your sanctuary or you have TVs around your campus, they use what's called a 16:9 aspect ratio. The pixelation of that 16:9 tends to be 1920 by 1080. So I know that whatever I find, I'm going to want that title graphic to be at least 1920 by 1080. That's not important for right now. That's just a little side piece of information there for you. But lost art of listening. Let's put lost art of listening and see what happens. Oh, I'm all caps, but that's fine. Types of listening. Let's see if there's something that looks interesting. And a lot of times you're going to have to go through the templates for a little bit before you find stuff. And it's usually around this time when it starts generating new stuff. If I haven't seen something by now that at least somewhat piques my interest, I'm not going to enjoy it. So let's just go back and let's, instead of lost, let's just see what art of listening brings us. Art of talk, effective communication. A lot of stuff about headphones, obviously. I kind of like this right here. In fact, let's do this. Let's go with the history of art. There's a lot of personal preference. This does not accomplish at all what I want with Lost Art of Listening. But I like the general aesthetic of the design. It looks like something that could be a title graphic. So we're going to start there. We'll customize this template. Once we've selected it, we hit customize this template. It brings us now to our Canvas page. The first thing I'm going to do, my general rule of thumb, all of these designs, all of these templates have generic names attached to them, but that's not what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and double click that, highlight the whole thing, and I'm going to retitle it Lost Art of Listening. And again, this is just the way I do it, Lost Art of Listening. And I'm going to put title graphic because it's the sermon series title. And then again, just to keep my head straight, I put 1920 by 1080. That's that aspect ratio, that pixelation that we talked about. And you'll see I use 1920 by 1080 a lot. I'm going to hit custom size. I'm going to hit 1920 by 1080, and I'm going to hit resize this design just to make sure we're the exact pixelation, and it was already there, so that's good. Okay, so now I've got this pretty nice looking graphic, but it doesn't accomplish what I want. This English Renaissance picture in the back doesn't accomplish what I need. So I'm going to detach that image, and I'm just going to delete it. And then I'm going to go over here to the left side. This is where you have all your widgets to help you create this graphic. I'm going to go to Elements, the thing we talked about earlier, and I can search elements. So I'm going to put listening. I'm guessing lost art of listening is the idea of we don't listen to each other well enough. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kristen, but the idea that we're We're not listening to learn, we're listening to respond. So I'm trying to look for some type of graphic that helps me communicate that. This is a background image or a side image, so I'm not really looking for anything with text. I'm just looking for a visual representation. Actually, let's do communication. So let's find here. This is a nice one. Again, you're not going to want to try to use these stock images too much, but for our purposes today on being quick, we'll go ahead and do this. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've added it. I've gone to elements. I did the search. All you have to do is click it, and it automatically adds it to the canvas. But the next thing I'm going to do is make sure in this specific one, I'm going to go to position. That determines your layers. So this picture right here, you can see it, since it's above these stars, since it's above these elements, it appears over it. So all I have to do is click and drag to the very bottom, and my background photo becomes an actual background photo so that everything above it is now in front of it. Good. So good. So I've got these concentric circles that kind of add a little bit of element to it. But you can see the font is white. It's very washed out because of the background photo. So let's make some edits to the photo itself. So when you click edit here at the top, it brings up a full array of options to edit the photo itself. It's too bright, so let's make some choices. Let's go ahead and bring down, if you click the adjust here at the top, that brings up actual options to edit the photo itself. Let's go ahead and bring the brightness down just a little bit. Let's increase the contrast. That already makes everything pop a little bit more. Let's bring the shadows up just a little bit. I'm sorry, down just a little bit. Not that much. Good. So it kind of creates a little bit of depth between what I have going on in the front. It's still not where I want it to be. I've just made a decision. Let's go ahead and make it a black and white photo. So to do that, I can go down here to color. Nope. Here it is, vibrance. So pull the vibrance all the way down, pull the saturation all the way down. That takes all the color out of the photo and helps it pop a little bit more. So if I go back to the font now, I still want that to pop more, but I don't want to take anything out of the background photo. If I click on the font, you'll see here at the top, we've got this toolbar. If I go over to effects, I can choose to add lift like I did earlier in the other graphic. If I click lift, you'll see it creates that shadow behind. It's the default is 50, but I want it to be more than that. So I'm going to add a little bit more of an intensity. Now here's a little like trick of the trade. That's still not as much as I want. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the font. You can hit Control C if you like, or you can actually hit copy. I'll hit copy and then Control V or right click and paste, but I'll hit Control V. It creates an identical version of it with the lift. And all I'm going to do is take it and pull it right over perfectly in line. And I do that as much as I want until I've reached the drop shadow that I want to really make sure that pops a good. And you can see it pops way more than it did earlier. So that's just a small trick to get the level of pop that you want. So let's go ahead and change this because it's lost. Oh, sorry, I should have done that first. So when you create one, you got to make sure you have those edits because you're copying and pasting. So lost art of listening. And we'll do a little bit more. We'll expand the graphic because I think I want lost art of to be one right there. So now you see we've changed the title itself. So we need to make our concentric circles. If you click something, oh, it's already grouped. Perfect. So we'll expand these circles a little bit. I'm going to zoom out so I can see it a little bit better. We'll just change the sizing of that by using the tools around it. Need to do a little bit more to make sure we have plenty of space. It's good enough. And I'm going to go ahead and decrease the font size to make it fit a little bit better as well. And you see these little pink lines that are popping up. That's telling me the one in the middle is telling me that it is perfectly centered going left to right. And then the one that's horizontal to the bottom, that's telling me it's perfectly centered top to bottom. So I know that this title, this graphic, this font that I've created is perfectly centered right there in the middle. Good. Um, let's see. Let's just put First United Methodist Church. So Lost Art of Listening. Good. So that gives a general idea of how we use the templates, how we make some edits to fit it within. I'll even take these little stars now that I'm looking at them. I'd kind of like those to be centered within each of the little concentric portions. And you can see there's lots of guides, those little pink guides that pop up to tell me that's spaced out perfectly between the two. They're even with each other. So lots of little pop-ups to make sure everything is actually symmetrical. That's an important part of design, is making sure things actually line up the way you want. The last thing I'll do is I've actually changed my mind about this font. So I'm going to go in and find a font that allows me to make it pop even a little bit more. So once you click it, your toolbar pops up for the font. Right here on the far left is your actual font choices. Like I said earlier, tons and tons and tons of font choices, hundreds that live within Canva itself. But if you ever want an additional font, say you have a font file or you have a specific font related to your brand, you can always go down here and upload fonts. You'll see that we have actual Horizon Texas Conference branded fonts that live there. Those are ones that we uploaded. You can always upload more. I've uploaded several since then, including one we used for annual conference. That's one we found, and we wanted it to live in Canva, so you can always upload it. But if you scroll past all that, tons of fonts. They give you popular fonts that people are using. They give you lots of other options as well. You can spend days just going through all the font options. I don't recommend spending days doing it, but you can spend days. Good. So I for now I'll leave it because I want to make sure I just looked at the time and I want to move on. But this is good. This is good. We'll leave this for us. The other thing I want to show you, this resize button that we started with. So now we have our title graphic. We're satisfied with it as it is for our purposes today. But now I want to make sure that I have a Facebook cover photo version of it. That's where I've created the graphic. I don't need to do anything else with it. All I need to do is make it into a Facebook cover photo. So I'm going to go up here to the top left, click resize. I'll go to social media. I'll just search cover. You'll see Facebook cover landscape. I'll click that one. Copy and resize. And it's important that you do copy and resize because if you click resize this design, it changes the aspects of this one. Copy and resize takes all of the elements of this one and creates a new one. So I click copy and resize. It will resize it, takes just a second, and then click open Facebook cover. It's not going to appear perfect. As you can see, it doesn't, well, actually it did a pretty good job. But a lot of times it's not a perfect one-to-one. Like I'll do another resize option just to show you because I want to make sure you see how you have to do some edits. Let's say we want to change it into an Instagram post, which is a drastically different size. So now I'll hit copy and resize on the Instagram post. It'll pull up a 4:5 aspect ratio. We'll open that one and you'll see we lose some of the relational aspect. See, it's just minimized into that. So at that point, you're going to want to make edits to the graphic itself. You're just going to move things around, get to where we have an idea of what it looks like. I think at that point, if it was me, I would just take it to this. You can still tell she's listening. I'm probably going to eliminate these other circles on the side. Get rid of those. That way I can center this portion of it, make it substantially larger. Let's say 75. And then I'll just move things around. But that gives you an idea. Like that resize button, you can create the one thematic graphic, but then resize it for different purposes as you need. So there we go. So those are our two options. I want to make sure I get to this other thing. So once you have, let's go back to our sermon graphic that we had from earlier. Once we've got it, we feel good about it. We've got our sermon graphic to the level of design that we want. The next important tool is the share button. Over here on the top right, this is one of the most important things in all of Canva. No one creates a graphic simply to create it. There's always a purpose for that graphic. So that's where the share button comes in. When we click the share button in the top right, lots of options come up. First thing you'll see is people with access. This is where you can add different peoples or groups to see, and you can see who's already been added. So if I go in here, I can add Pam immediately. All I have to, she's already in our team. I can do that. I can share it with her. And then going forward, Pam has access to that design. So that's where you'll be able to add people. You'll be able to see who's been added. Under the access level, you can choose whether you want only people added to where only Pam and I see it. You can choose everyone on your team. So if you click this button, everyone who exists within Horizon Texas Conference will be able to see it and edit it. Or if I want to take a next step, say you as a church have asked the conference for help, we're working on a graphic with you. I can choose anyone with the link, and then all I have to do is copy that link and send it to you, and then you can access it from your own Canva account as well. That automatically gives you access. So that's the first thing you'll see. But right down here at the bottom are the really important buttons. First is the download button. Anytime you export something, this is where you're going to go. So if you click download, it's going to bring up the download menu, and you'll see file types. You can choose JPEG, which is a lower quality but more easily shared file type. PNG, which is what I would choose for this because it's something that's larger and complex. You can choose to make it into a PDF if that's best for you. SVG is something you can use for web design and animations. It's called a vector graphic. That option is there. If you're creating an Instagram story, that's where you would pick the MP4 video option, GIF, and you can also export into PowerPoint documents as well. So once you've chosen your file type, in this case, I'll choose PNG. The original aspect ratio is 1920 by 1080. I can change the size to be as large or as small. Just make sure you're aware the larger you make it, obviously the larger the file itself is going to be, so on and so on. You can choose to limit the file size. If you're like in MailChimp, the largest an image can be that you upload is 10 megabytes. So that's where I can choose to, I want to make sure no matter what this is, it's not bigger than this. I can compress it to make it a lower quality. And really the important thing about PNG, if you click JPEG, I want to make sure you're aware of this. JPEGs cannot be transparent files, which means everything that appears on the canvas is going to appear there. If I delete this picture and this is all I have, you can see the white space behind it. And then I go to download, click PNG, and then transparent background. Everything that is white space background on this is not going to export. It's just going to export the circles, the text, the First United Methodist Church, and the stars. And that's something you can use in overlay. So that's an important distinction between JPEG and PNG right there. And so then I would click download and it actually downloads it to my device. There's also a public view link if you want people to be able to see it but not access it for editing. You can click that. You can create one. That's actually our resource list is a file within Canva that we've just created a public view link. So you'll be able to see what that looks like, but that's where you create it if you want people to be able to see it or review it without actually having to access Canva. Print with Canva is just an internal print shop option. Canva is a business. They want you to buy things from them. And I will say it's pretty inexpensive and convenient. I create my family Christmas cards with Canva every year, and then I get them printed by Canva. And it's very simple because I know everything that it's their product and they're printing. So I know everything's going to line up perfectly. So that is always an option if you don't have an internal printing option within your church. And then lastly, this see all button. This is a really important one. I know some of you mentioned in the survey you wanted to see about integrations. See all is going to bring up everything we just mentioned and all of the remaining features that Canva offers for sharing. So you'll see you can create a brand template, you can create public view. We're not going to get into that, but lots of options there. You can download, you can save it if you've connected your Google Drive, you can save it instantly, you can save it to your Microsoft OneDrive if you use that within your church. But even past that, here's an important thing, social. So if you have connected your social account, you run the church's Facebook page, you can connect that. I'll go ahead and click it. You'll see because I can stop it from sharing. I can go and I can choose to share it to our Horizonte account, our children's and youth. I can click those and immediately type what I want it to say and then hit publish now. I'm not even going to hover over it because I don't want to risk it. But if I click publish now, it immediately sends it without me having to export and save an extra file to our Horizon Texas Conference Facebook page. You can do the same thing with any of your Facebook pages. So that all lives here under social. There's other options as well that I'm not going to go into for time, but I wanted to make sure to cover that social option. And you have a variety of options: Facebook Story, LinkedIn, TikTok, if you use that. Those all live under this share button and then see all. It's good. I wanted to make sure we covered that. Two more things real quick. I've already talked about the magic resize button, so we don't have to worry about that. But I am going to bring back that photo and show you one more thing. If you click the photo, the image itself, and you go up here to your edit toolbar, there's this new feature called background remover. If you see a crown like this on anything, you'll see it all over. That means it's a pro access. As long as you have Canva Pro, Canva Teams, Canva for Nonprofits, anything with that crown, you still have access to. So that's a feature that you have to have Canva Pro. But if we go to it, we click. I don't know how well this is going to use because of how much I edited it. Let's actually go back to the original one and delete this entirely. So if I go to this, I click background remover, it automatically scans and tries to determine what is the background of the image itself. And as you can see, it'll remove it entirely. Where that comes in really convenient is if you're trying to have just an individual, you don't need the background. You have a picture of someone standing outside somewhere, but you need them to be on a different graphic. This is a nice thing that Canva's added. That used to be something you had to do in Photoshop that took quite a long time. Now with this AI innovation, you can immediately remove backgrounds anytime for most pictures and most graphics. So I wanted to make sure you were aware of that as an option as well, because it's a really neat thing that even 5 years ago was not as simple as clicking a button. So make sure you're aware of the magic resize for different aspects and different pixelations and the background remover button as well. Good. There's a couple other things I want to talk about, but I want to make sure we have time for Q&A as well. So this Canva resources link is going to take you to our Canva resources list that actually, like I said, exists within Canva itself. We just created a public view link. This is our Canva for Churches resource list right there. This is a clickable document that you can pull up. So if Canva for Nonprofits is one of the resources, if you click that link, it'll bring you to this page right here, which helps you learn more about Canva for Nonprofits. It walks you through the step of actually applying for Canva Nonprofits. This is eligibility guidelines. If you're a United Methodist Church, you're eligible. So you don't have to worry about that. You'll just need to provide them your tax ID. But that walks you through the process. I've done this for 3 or 4 churches that I've worked with over the last few years. It is a very, very easy process, I promise. But that lives right there in that resource list. Just below that is Canva Design School. This is something not a lot of people are aware of. Canva doesn't just want to provide you tools. They want to teach you how to use those tools. So if you click that, it takes you to this design school. There's courses, which are deep dives into branding and strategy. There's lessons, which are quick tips on specific features that all live within this design school. If I open that menu, you can see Design School Explore our courses, lessons. There's a Learn blog where people ask questions that you might have. It talks about marketing strategy, brand management, events that you can sign up for both online and in person. The Design School is a great resource for you to learn a lot more about Canva and than what I could cover here in just 1 hour. I've used Design School myself many times. And then the last resource is just a beginner's guide that Canva put together. If you click that link, it'll bring you right here. This is where, if you're brand new to Canva, I'd advise you to go here and just start. It takes you through beginner tutorials. It's really just like a Canva 101 page that exists all in one. And Canva will hold your hand and walk you through each of these things that you need to do. So those are 3 resources we want to make sure that you walk away with today to help you get signed up for nonprofits, learn more about Canva Design School, and then also just getting started if that's where you need to be. Good. So let's move into a Q&A portion. I'll stop sharing my screen at this point. Mary Lou Felch. Will Canva ever get full like how my Google Drive is full? Canva can't get full, of which I am aware. It is cloud-based technology, and there is no limitations like Google Drive. I think the basic is a 30 megabyte, and you can pay to add more. There's nothing like that that I've ever seen within Canva. So my best answer to that is not of which I'm aware, at least based on their current storage capacities. If we're making something to print, is there an easy way to make it less ink heavy? That tends to be a printer setting that either a printer setting or a printer dialog box setting. You can choose in most printer dialog boxes, there's a save ink toner. You can typically click that and it will make it look less ink heavy. The downside to that is it may also compromise the quality of the image itself. Um, can you compile a list of UMT churches in or out of the conference that are doing social media well so we can use some of their ideas? That's a great question. I'm going to throw that one to Pam if she doesn't mind.
I would say that is a perfect segue. Not that we're done with questions, but we were really excited to do this Canva specific training today as the first of many communications based lunch and learns to come. We're taking the third Thursday lunch hour, and we've put together the topics for the fall. So you can go ahead and mark your calendars that October 16th, we're going to have a social media focused lunch and learn. So I'm so glad that that's what you want to hear more about because that's what we have next. I don't know if we can promise a whole list of churches by 10/16, but we do want to have on that lunch and learn some case studies, some examples, and getting to hear from the folks at some of our churches who are making that happen. So more to come there. And then November 20th, church websites will be our topic. And these, I think, both came out of Trey did a toolbox back at annual conference. And it's also our plug. If you have any topics that you're like, I would love to hear more about this aspect of communications for our church, for our ministry, please send those to us because we want to continue this. It's not just a fall 2025 series of lunch and learns. We are really excited that we've moved out of a season of unprecedented times back to being able to do some really good equipping for our local churches and ministries. So we want to be responsive to what you need. And I'll turn it back to Trey for the rest of the questions that are coming in.
One I saw, I didn't, I kind of skipped over this earlier. I want to make sure to show you super quick our brand kits. All right, so if you go to brand over here, let's go back home because someone asked in creating a church logo, are there colors to consider? Not specifically anything you need like from us at the conference level. You can make your logo the color that you choose. But once you have created that, here existing in the brand kit itself, I'll show you the HTC brand kit. That's where you can upload all of your variations of logos, the inverted versions, ones with background, ones that are transparent. Once you create that brand kit, all of those assets can live there. You can choose those color variations. You can see we have our primary colors that are included in our logo, as well as several that are complementary to it as well. That's where our fonts live that we use on a specific on our level specifically. You can see we've got some old graphics from Unifying Conference that lived in there, as well as the United Methodist Cross and Flame. So all of those are locked into a certain way that they can be used. So once you have your brand kit built out, once you have your logo, you can create that brand kit, and then everyone on your team has access to use those in the appropriate ways they're supposed to be used. So I just wanted to make sure you were aware of the opportunity to create not just one, but multiple brand kits. Like I said, we've got the HTC brand kit. We've got one that's specific to Bishop Signs, and that's built around the parameters of the Council of Bishop because that's their logo. We're just able to use it within this brand kit, as well as each time we have annual conference, as you all know, there's always a different theme. So we can build out a brand kit for each one of those annual conferences and use it. You could do that for VBS. You can do that for various ministry events. The brand kit is a really, really important and neat part of what Canva offers. I saw another question.
I was going to say, I'm happy to jump in on this question about a brand kit guidebook.
Yeah.
So we do have a brand kit guidebook for the conference, which I definitely recommend having it's very helpful when people reach out and say we want to use the conference logo for us to be able to say absolutely, and here's how we do that with integrity. Um, so I can share ours if that would be helpful. I will say also the United Methodist Church's brand guide, I think, is what we even looked to when we built ours the first time because theirs is excellent. So it tells you things like how much space has to be around the logo so it doesn't look like you've now combined it with another organization. Um, so I'll look for that link here while Trey is answering any remaining questions and drop that Cross and Flame guidebook here because it's also a good tool for all of us to have that if you want to use the UMC branding, they do have really clear specific guidelines around how to do that.
Just make sure you all know how much we appreciate you joining us today, being a part of this. We're excited. We firmly believe at the conference level that we are here to serve you, the local churches. So we're glad to have had this time together. So thanks very much for joining us.